Luke Cage. Jessica Jones. The Devil of Hell's Kitchen. The Iron Fist. I can see you've formed a bond here. But I promise you it's temporary.
Marvel has not had a great overall relationship with television and their characters on it. From way back in the 70s with Spider-Man and the Incredible Hulk. Lou Ferrigno, great, but very, very silly show, very, very campy, all the way up to Blade from FX, Agents of Carter, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and there's a whole bunch of other Fox shows that I'm not even going to begin to talk about. None of these shows were really that great, and DC had kind of really began to kill it with shows like Arrow, Flash, Smallville, things like that. And while Marvel was kicking their butts on the big screen, when it came to television, IP and property rights, they were far behind. Enter Netflix in 2015. Daredevil first came out then, starring Charlie Cox as Matthew Murdock, and it was everything that we as fans hoped for. It was this gritty tale, and it's almost like a Batman story, which a lot of DC fans really wanted, but we get this really cool, visceral, portrayal of Daredevil, and the fight choreography is insane. The acting is great. Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin. It gets a whole bunch of just like random like Emmy nominations, Saturn, other things like that. It doesn't win anything like that, but it still gets recognition from all types of of critics, sites everywhere. From there we go to Jessica Jones, which came out a little bit after that. Christian Ritter takes the character and just really portrays her almost verbatim from the comic to the small screen. You get David Tennant as Purple Man, and it's a really cool tale as well. I didn't like it quite as much as Daredevil, but I'm more action oriented. But and that's more of this really old school crime noir detective story. And then we heard that from Jessica Jones, we got our first look at Michael Coulter being Luke Cage. So obviously he gets the next show, and I was really looking forward to that, and I hated how he was portrayed. He's a lot of fun in the comics, and I felt that just the writing and the overall character decisions for him were not that great. And then it went even further down with Iron Fist, with casting Finn Jones, which was a huge mistake. He looks to be more of a dancer than a fighter. And that shows on screen. And not to mention his attitude, his personality comes off more as this brash child, this impetuous nature, and is just unlikable for 12 episodes. And I had to force myself to get through that, even though Iron Fist is one of my favorite characters of all time. I love all those low-level guys, and him, Moon Knight, Night Thrasher, Luke Cage, Daredevil, all those guys are some of my favorite heroes. So that was really sad. But after 2 years, we finally get this culmination of all four of these characters, and is it worth it? Is it worth your time? I think if you put in the work to have watched all these shows, I think it is worth your time. The acting in this is great. Seeing all the characters come together almost felt like a big budget movie. It was you get this one scene where all of them end up going to the same place, and a big fight happens. And it's really cool to see all of them on screen together. And then having Christian Ritter's character be very self-aware, just saying things like, I shouldn't be here, this makes no sense, I don't fight ninjas, I go find sex cases and stuff. So I loved how everybody's personalities, were just very conflicting. It's only 8 episodes, so the plot's not really that stretched thin. You get, after the first episode or two, things ramp up and it moves a lot more smoothly. Besides that, I kind of want to talk about the overall tone of the show, and I think it fits the mold of a comic book show very well. There's a lot of really comic book elements in terms of the story and how characters progress and movement and everything, and how people begin to develop, key character relationships. It's a lot of the side characters, Misty Knight, Colleen Wing, Foggy Nelson, Claire, the night nurse. All those people start coming together, like Patsy. So it's really cool seeing all of them come together, and that opens up a lot of new facets and could be like shows relationships. I will say there's a really specific note of editing or direction here. In the first couple of episodes, every character has a key color while on screen. I mean that literally. Like there is a like heavy filter of what Daredevil, whenever it's him on screen, it's red. So there's reds, neons going on. He's got blood. His suit's red. His glasses, there's always a theme of red. When it's Luke Cage, it's yellow. When it's Iron Fist, it's green. And when it is Jessica Jones, it's a purple blue, basically. And once they all come together around episode 3 or episode 4, those colors begin to meld together, and that's it was neat. I like when choices like that are used a little bit more subtly, but so when it's this invasive on the screen, it's kind of off-putting at times. But it was noticeable, and it is what it is. As I talked about the side characters for maybe future projects, I would love to see a show called the Daughters of the Dragon. If you don't know what that is, Colleen Wing and Misty Knight, they back in the 70s were side characters in the Iron Fist stories, and actually Iron Fist and Misty Knight have a love interest at some point, but they basically open up a private eye firm, which I don't want to say spoilers, whatever, but things like that could lead to that in the future, because a lot of things are set up towards the end with a couple of these cliffhangers. That could be a lot of fun. I love both of their characters. I think that would be a really good step in the right direction. But the problem is only the Punisher is currently slated for anything in terms of future projects. And that is because Walt Disney is now pulling out of their deal with Netflix, which is very upsetting considering the fact that I love watching all of the Disney movies. I love watching all the Marvel projects, all the Star Wars projects, and Disney apparently doesn't have enough money, so they're going to develop their own streaming service to make you pay even more money, as if if they didn't already own this mega clutch on the overall box office over the last 3 years, where they've gotten 60 or 70% of the total box office because they own so many IPs, at this point. But from television shows, toys, their theme parks, it's gross that their greed is getting this bad. So they're going to be taking all their property off of Netflix, which who knows where our characters are going to go from there. I would imagine that they would keep things going because it's got a pretty good buzz about it. But if it's gone, I mean, there's a couple of other shows being put together on smaller things. There is a Runaway series that's going to, I believe, on Hulu or Amazon. It's one or the other. And then on even smaller budget show, there is going to be I think it's called Freeform. They're doing a Cloak and Dagger show, which there's a trailer for that out. You should check that out. And I just heard that they're doing a project for New Warriors, which was one of my favorite team ups because they're all younger heroes. With characters like Squirrel Girl, Night Thrasher, Speedball. Squirrel Girl is kind of newer, but she wasn't in the original stuff. But who cares? I love Speedball and I love Night Thrasher. So I'm definitely gonna try and check those out. But those projects won't be out until next year. So I don't know at this point. If they do a Punisher series, I will be back to talk about that. But if not, then just hang around. Be sure to come back later. I will be doing a project all about the comics, movies, TV shows done this year and how true to form they are from their source material to how watchable that they actually were. So stick around and stay geekly.